Okay, good morning and welcome to this morning's episode of the Amateur in the Morning. I am your host, the Forex Amateur. Today is the 12th of November. It's bright Thursday morning here in Durban, South Africa, and taking it a bit easy today. Have had a very strong week, so I'm just taking it easy, taking all the setups that make sense, and whatever doesn't make sense, I'm just sitting on my hands. Before I get into the episode, let me throw in my disclaimer. Remember, I'm not qualified to offer financial investment or trading advice. Everything I speak about on these episodes is purely my own um, thoughts, right? It's purely my own thoughts on these markets. Um, any trades that I take are trades that I take with cash I am willing to risk. So ensure that if you are trading, that you're trading based on analysis that you've done, research that you've done, and you are risking cash that you are willing to lose. Because the truth is, you could lose your entire investment, right? Remember, this is not financial advice. That's very important for you to understand that I'm not advising you to take any of the trades on here. All I'm doing is this is just purely for educational purposes or entertainment purposes, if you want to call it that, you know? So let's get straight into it. So as you know, on these episodes, I like to break down the charts, looking only at the synthetic indices market. I'm going to talk about that for a little while. And then some really great news, however, is that from next week, I'm going to include the dollar index and I'm also going to include the NASDAQ, right? So NAS 100 in these sessions that I do as well, right? So the reason for that is I have been speaking about it for a while that I'm going to be including other things as well. And after some consideration, I wanted it to be as effective as possible. So I decided let me do one equity and one future so that you can basically balance that out. So if we're looking at the futures market, you can look at the dollar index, and then that will most likely be able to give you your bias and direction in terms of all of the forex trading pairs that have a dollar sub base or base. And then Nasdaq obviously is something that I do look at anyway, and I do analysis on it anyway, and I do take trades on it every now and then as well. So I wanted to include those two. So as of next week, that's going to be from Monday's episode. Monday's going to be the 16th, I believe. Let me just have a look. Yep. So from Monday's episode, which is the 16th, I will start including the dollar index and the Nasdaq on our morning episode. So that should be really cool. I'm really looking forward to that as well. But for now, we'll only be talking about 75, volatility 75, volatility 10, 25 1S, and volatility 50 as usual. In terms of the volatility charts, I'm not going to be adding any other charts onto these morning episodes. The reason for that is because, I don't want to give away too much. Some of what I offer needs to be reserved for the guys that pay for these services, right? So I just do this as a freebie, just to give you guys some sight of what we do and some guidance if need be. So let's look at it. We're going to talk about volatility 75. Looking at these markets, I am full on bearish on volatility 75. I did have a really nice setup at this point in here. Unfortunately, I was asleep when the retest happened this morning, so I wasn't able to get in on that. But overall, I am expecting to see volatility 75 to come down into there and then ultimately come down into these levels here. So if I had to put TPs, that would be 1, that would be 2, and that would be 3 down there. Right, so overall, I am bearish on volatility 75. We can see that it did break out really nicely above here, and now it's come back into this level, which is really cool. You can also call this a bit of a double top pattern here. I'm not sure why my mouse is playing around, but we can call that a bit of a double top pattern up in there. Let me just mark it like this. That right there. A bit of a double top, and as you can see, it's currently at the neckline of the double top. So as it breaks below, then it should melt to around this level here and maybe pull back and then drop down all the way to around those levels. So that's my thoughts on volatility 75. Looking at the H4 chart, not really much we can talk about on here on H4. The reason for that is because it's pretty much the same thing that we're looking at. It looks very, very clean as well. So double top formed here, came back and it retested and respected this resistance up in here. and now it's pushing down. So we're overall bearish on here. The first touch should happen at this level with no sort of resistance at these levels, right? And then we should get a young pullback off from here and then drop further down into around that level in there. Cool. So that's my thoughts on volatility 75. Looking at volatility 10, I did mention yesterday that my target is to get down into this level here. I'm still holding sales from here and here. And my target is to get down into this blue zone in here. And then I want to start taking buys on this market. So that hasn't really changed. We're still bearish bias on this, looking for selling opportunities back to the downside. Looking at the lower time frames, not really much I can talk about on here. We're still looking to see if it can respect some of these levels in here. So we've got this major level, key level that was broken, right? Because we broke, found resistance, came back, broke above it, retested multiple times above it, and then it dropped. So I'm expecting that if it comes back into this level, I will expect it to hold as resistance in here and then trade down into around that area in there. Cool. So that's my thoughts on volatility 10. Looking at volatility 25, yesterday I did speak about the fact that we're from this level in here, we do seem to be bullish, right? And I did mark up a few levels. I did say that from this level, we'll most likely see price reach back above this area in here. Now, as you can see, my overall bias on this has been bearish for a couple of weeks now. And just yesterday, based on what we see happening in here, I did say that we should see buys continuing. As you can see, price is failing to break above this uh, resistance that we have up in here, and it does seem to be respecting it. And remember, we were overall bearish bias on the higher time frames. So if possible, if price breaks below these levels, that level in there, if price breaks below here, gives good price action confirmations, then perhaps we should be looking to see it come back down into this pink zone on the downside, right? I'm not really going to drop below this time frame because 25-1S doesn't really get cleaner as you go down. It just gets worse, right? So overall, we should be seeing it selling, right, down into this gray zone. If it breaks below this gray zone, gives us good confirmations below that gray zone, then we should see it keep going back down to the downside because I have been overall bearish bias on this market. Right, looking at volatility 50, I did speak about this on the weekly yesterday. I spoke about this wick right in here, and I did say that normally when I see these things happening, I do see price coming back down to at least fill the wick of this candle. And as you can see, that is playing out really well. Overall, I'm looking for buys off this gray zone. For now, we'll see how long these sales can go on. So I want to see it come back down. If it comes down into this gray zone, that would be really cool. Then I'll most likely take buys from that level, right? So for now, we're still looking at sales. If you look at the daily time frame as well, it's still overall bearish at the moment. So it should come down into this level with no issues, right? Probably bounce in here, a pull back, push a bit lower, and then go up, something to that effect, right? So that's what I am looking at on volatility 50. So one of the shortest episodes that I've done so far. So that's it from my side. Not really much more I want to speak about on these markets. So until next time, we will be catching up tomorrow. So until next time, wishing you a blessed and a profitable trading day. And it has been a pleasure, as always, to share.